Guys, what's going on? Today I want to talk you through the realities of moving out from your family home after 29 years of living there. Now, you're probably thinking, damn, this guy's a loser, 29 years living at home. The reality of the situation is this. I could have moved out many, many years ago. I'll be transparent. When I got to the age of maybe 22, I was still very, very skint. I had literally no money to my name. And from that point, I started my PT qualifications alongside working full-time as a greenkeeper. And I wasn't earning good money. Anyone who understands greenkeeping will know that the money was crap. And essentially from there, I started coaching a few clients. I was literally charging like £35 a month and wasn't really too sure what I was doing, but I was listening to podcasts, I was reading books, I was educating myself, I was watching on YouTube constantly the likes of Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Kai Green. I was listening to, I can't even think, 3D Muscle Journey. I was reading every single Flex magazine that I could find, Muscle and Fitness, the lot, and just absorbing as much information as I possibly could. And I think from the age of 22, 23, up and towards I was about 25, I just went all in on education, whether it be reading, listening to podcasts. I was that cringy guy that would go to Body Power Expo and go up to the biggest guys I could find and be like, oh bro, how'd you build your muscle? And I was that guy. In fact, I was probably that guy earlier than that. I was probably that guy at 2021. And in fact, even before that, in my teenage years, I was obsessed with training, but I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I just asked people. And I think over the years of doing that, I got myself out of a pretty sticky situation. I didn't have any savings when I was 22 years old. I didn't really have any money to my name. And a few years went past. I started earning some okay money as a personal trainer. It got me by. It paid the bills. It done what needed to be done. I say paid the bills. Yes, I was living at home with my mum and my brother. I was actually sharing a bedroom with my brother up until the age of 28. So we shared a bedroom for a long time. And I think the reasons for me staying at home go far deeper than just money. At the age of 25, 26, I definitely could have moved out for sure. Now, from the age of 25 to now, I'd been in a very long-term relationship and we went for a breakup. Just didn't work out. And at that point, I was kind of living between two houses while I was building the business. So I was living between hers and mine. And, we had planned to move out, but obviously when we broke up, it didn't really go to plan. So kind of went back home, did my own thing for a period of time. And, several months passed and I got to a point where, I started looking for my own place and I was building up the finances and, I wanted to make sure that I was kind of completely set. And then however long period of time, it must have been maybe 6-7 months maybe. And I met someone and, again, then living between two houses again, traveling 4, sometimes 5-hour drive up and down the country to visit one another and kind of stay at each other's houses. And, at that point, because I was sharing a bedroom with my brother, sometimes we would even just sleep on the living room floor. And then I'd kind of go to hers and it was back and forth. And, those few years were very hectic for me. I kind of shifted from personal training into online coaching and it meant that I still hadn't moved out because of what we were doing. Then I came to a trip to Dubai, which is where I'm currently sat right now. And, I'm in my apartment at the moment. Let me show you guys the apartment. So I won't lie, it's a bit of a mess today. Oh gosh, that's very close to the camera. Yes, it's a bit of a mess. I'm actually going to be checking out of this place and into a new place, which is in the same apartment block. And I'm going to tell you guys a story about that in a second. Later on today, I'm going to be checking into that new apartment block. But ultimately, guys, this is my current view. So this is Business Bay in Dubai. That's what it looks like. Never thought I'd be living next to a main road, but got a decent pool, which sadly I haven't really used. And that's the base. I've been going for a walk along there. But anyway, guys, after kind of doing that for a few years and realising that I definitely could have moved out sooner, I just didn't, because every place I looked at, I was looking at a 2-bedroom place not far from where I lived, and it was going to cost £2,500 to £3,000 per month to rent, plus obviously bills and stuff like that. And it got to a point where I just thought, do I want to be in this country? I'm paying £2,500 to £3,000 rent per month in a place that's okay, in an area which, don't get me wrong, it's nice. I'm from Epsom originally, and we were kind of looking around that way, and also South London way. And I had the money to do it, and 27 years old, still didn't do it, 28 years old, still didn't do it. And then life happened again. And I realized that for a few years, there was this kind of niggling feeling kind of getting away from me that I wanted to live in Dubai, but I recognized that was a big, obviously, life decision, leaving behind like my family, my brother. At the time, the relationship I was in was kind of fully up for doing that as well. And then when we went through our breakup, just, life happened. It then kind of led me with a decision of like, right, I'm 28 years old. I had a good amount of savings in the bank. I could afford to move to Dubai literally whenever I wanted to. And honestly, guys, like, I've seen posts and content online, like, and I fully get it. Like, I fully get it. Like, ridiculing guys for getting to a certain age and still living at home. And I get it, man. Like, look, if it was up to me, I would have had my own place in like my early 20s. But I didn't, life happened. Didn't have any savings, then found my dream job, then I wanted to get my head down and work, then a relationship breakdown, then another relationship breakdown, and things just, life just went the course that life went on. So I got to 28, I'm single, I'm running the business. By this point, I'd gone from a personal trainer and online coach to coaching coaches to then mentoring coaches. And I had the finances to move out, but the reality is, I think I'd become so accustomed to the gym I was training at, the friends that I'd play golf with, the mates that I'd go out with, that I got comfortable. And I think it happens to a lot of guys. Not comfortable with my career. I loved my career. Not comfortable with my health and fitness and my training, because I've always loved my training. But just comfortable with my environment, comfortable with the routine, comfortable with the pattern. And I love my mum to pieces, but in my opinion, no 28-year-old man should be living at home with their mum. My brother had moved out with his girlfriend. And I just knew I needed my own space. I was desperate to get a place, And then I came on holiday to Dubai, and the original plan was actually to set up the business. And I didn't. And the reason I didn't is because I met a girl. And, had an amazing time getting to know one another and dating one another. And she, funny enough, she was on holiday. It was just like a weird sequence of events. And it led me to delay moving out here again. I was originally supposed to move in November. That was the original goal. And I pushed it back. And we're now in July. And I've now finally, after kind of 3 years of debilitating, probably 5 years of wanting to move out, but life just happening and it not going that way, I've finally, moved over here. I've set up my business now. So the actual business is called Coach's Corner, but apparently not allowed to be called that. So I had to call it George Lewinsky Consulting, which is essentially what I do as well. And I've lived in 2 different Airbnbs since I've been here. Although a third one, we stayed in a villa for a week just with like clients and stuff, just when we ran an event. But it's weird recording this video, knowing that I've now built 2 6-figure businesses from the ground up. So from scratch to 6 figures. The one I'm currently kind of building at the moment, the next target for that, we've got projections, but the goal, like, I do turn 30 in October, but the goal over the next few years is to basically create like £1 million business. And when I say £1 million business, we're talking kind of like £1 million turnover per year. Like that's the goal. And I'll be transparent. Like we're not going to hit that in the next 6 months. Like we won't. But if things continue the way that they're going, and if trajectory continues the way that it has, then we won't be that far off. And it's pretty insane, because looking back at how my life has gone, I think that something I've noticed is, how do I put this? Of course, there are going to be pros and cons to, moving out and fending for yourself and living your life and all these kind of things. But I don't resent for a minute in my life. I don't resent the fact that I couldn't move out sooner. I don't resent the fact that, I couldn't have that dream life sooner. But there's always going to be that niggling feeling at the back of your mind and think like, what if I had moved to Dubai 3 years sooner? What if I'd gone, screw it, let me just get a place in Epsom 3 years ago? Or what if I just got a place when I was 25? What if I'd moved in with some friends or moved in with a previous partner? Like, what if? There's always going to be those what ifs. And I think sitting here right now in this apartment, I'm currently living here by myself. I'm going to be, like I say, checking into another Airbnb tomorrow, because I'm going to be flying back to England in a kind of back end of August, September time, I'd imagine. And it's just mental where life takes you. And I guess the reason I want to record this video today is because the vast majority of my clients, whether they have yet or they're planning to, that a part of their goal is, they want to travel the world, they want to see new things, they want to move to new places. I'd honestly go as far to say, of all of the clients that I coach on a one-to-one basis, probably, to put a number on it, 20 to 30% of them have said to me they'd love to move to Dubai, just because it's an absolute hub for coaches. Like, it's amazing networking here. It's actually mad to think that now I've done the thing, I think that we often in life almost put this veil or this like mystique, I guess, over a big kind of life decision, whereas actually all it takes is just putting our anxieties and worries and doubts to one side for just a minute and just fucking attacking the thing. Because like, I wouldn't have dreamt in a million years when I signed up to that PT course that I'd get to wake up in the morning. And don't get me wrong, my old apartment, sorry for the mess, don't get me wrong, my old apartment did genuinely have a better view than this, like way better view. I mean, I think this is decent, but the fact that me starting out counting people's calories, counting people's reps for the gym floor and cleaning treadmills has got me to a point where I can live here and I can literally work from wherever I want in the world. I can pick up my laptop and do whatever. Yes, now I have set up here, there are kind of limitations around that in regards to the fact that, because I am still setting up the business and, you do still pay tax in Dubai. A lot of people think you don't pay tax, but you do. So it's like setting up tax, setting a business account up, setting a personal account up, like, all of that stuff, all of that admin stuff. But it's mad to think that just from literally following my passion, I've got to here. And I've seen videos come out recently where people are like discrediting that and saying, don't just follow your passion because it's not the way forward. Now, I agree with that to an extent, but I honestly think if I hadn't have had those nights where I was 23, 24 years old with literally 300 quid to my name, sitting in a single bed, sharing a bedroom with my older brother, living with my mum, having her cook dinners for us when I'm like, I'm good, I can do it, having her wash our clothes and I'm like, I'm good, I can do it, having almost like arguments each week because I felt bad for her for doing so much stuff for us and I'm asking her not to do it because it's like, it's fine, but obviously she's just being a mum. Like, I look back at that and I just think like, I'm so, I don't know. I guess I'm just a guy who has realised that actually, although there are moments where you may kind of sit there and doubt yourself and pick yourself apart and beat yourself up and, I used to call myself a loser for living at home, sharing a bedroom with my brother until the age of like 27 years old. Like, I thought I was a loser for doing that. But the reality is now, like, I'm helping people to change their lives all over the world just because, despite all of that happening, I just went all in on myself. Mate, I was working from a kitchen table. Like, I put up a reel a while ago and I wasn't even doing this to brag, I just did it literally just to state facts and I got ripped apart for it, but that's fine, that's just social media. But I put up a reel saying it's mad to think that in my mum's kitchen, I went from sending out £35 plans to closing £20,000 worth of business in one singular day. People are like, yeah, all right, bullshit. But it's like, I would have said bullshit when I first started. I was like, no way. But the more you learn, the more you invest, the more you push yourself, the more you get out of your comfort zone, the more you're around different people, like you just expand your mind here. Since I've been out here, I've spoken to billionaires, not millionaires, billionaires, and you just think those people don't exist. They're just regular guys. Just regular guys, regular girls who just attack their dream, went all in on it. Sometimes these guys are like slightly crazy because like you have to be in order to get to that place. But this is a video for anyone who is still at home with your mum or with your dad, for someone who isn't where you want to be in life, for someone who is sharing a bedroom with a partner or whatever, not a partner, like your brother or whoever, for people who don't have any money in the bank, who don't have any savings, who, you've got a dream, you've not really got much money to your name, and you've just got like a vision of how you can get there. Like, look at me. I mentor coaches, and up until the age of 28, I was living at home with my mum. If I can do it, you guys can certainly fucking do it. And one thing I will say, I'm not someone to brag about money. You got to bear in mind that my business has been very successful for 4 years now. I saved a lot of money. My kids are going to be really well looked after because I wasn't a dick with the money. I didn't go buy a Ferrari or like, I could, but I'm not going to, because for me, that's not what the money's for. The money is for the future. And I think genuinely, like, my advice on this video wasn't about me showing off. It was more a guy just reflecting on just I'm a regular dude who used to live at home with his mum for years. But if you want to like actually make something of your life and make something of your business, the reality is, I honestly think you're 3 years away of going all in on your business in order to live wherever the fuck you want and do whatever the fuck you want. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave this here. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. Much love, and yeah, catch you in the next one.